Let's talk about you recently visited the Nokomis School. What was that all about?
Well, we enjoy uh, talking to kids visiting, and I usually, on average, once a week visit schools. So this is a school that invited me. It was seventh and eighth graders at the, I don't know, middle school now, and about 120 kids. We were in the gym, and we just talked about government, talked about the Constitution, answered their questions, and spent some time with them.
Are you impressed with some of the questions maybe these students
They,
have?
they were really focused on Rod Blagojevich for some reason. So I got more questions about Rod Blagojevich than I'd ever received in my entire congressional career. So maybe it's this Costa Rica reality jungle adventure that he's put himself in for now. I'm not sure, but they seem to be pretty intrigued by the former governor.
Congressman John Shimkus is our guest. Congressman, it's a pleasure having you here. And let's talk about a serious subject here. Recently, you're well aware of the Benel School situation with the mine subsidence. That was a $7.5 million school that is virtually almost, I've been through the building, it's virtually, it's in bad shape. With the mine situation, because as we talk, we've got potentially two mines coming in to the Hillsborough area. Does that concern you with our schools and the area with mine subsidence and everything like that?
Well, I think you have to understand modern day mining techniques and technology. And I know there's a lot of discussion about longwall mining, which I think would be used at least in the one in this area. I'm not sure the techniques on other mines, but longwall mining almost has immediate subsidence. As you mine, you subside. I think there's some concern from the agricultural community. What does it do to the value of the farmland? Because you have subsidence there. I live in Collinsville, Illinois, and we have pretty old mines, and we are, in essence, required. You can opt out, but you're required to have mine subsidence insurance, and that's just what we take for granted. Living over coal mines for as many decades as we have. That's not just Collinsville, but that's Glen Carbon and all those areas around there. So that's what you have mine subsidence insurance for, and current mines with longwall mining is actually a better process than having pillar shafts that could fall decades away after the mine is closed. I mean, the subsidence occurs pretty quickly, and obviously it wouldn't be built over structures that would be affected by that, and if it was, there'd have to be negotiations for mitigation from the landowners.
Now let's talk a little bit about Future Gen. Obviously there was an error that was discovered. Now it seems like the Mattoon plant is back into reality. Are you excited about now potentially Future Gen in Illinois might be greenlit?
Yeah, well, it looks like Secretary Chu's been saying some positive things. I still think he's going slow on the analysis. He still wants to meet with the alliance, but we're in a much better position now than we were in the last administration. We've got a president who has written a letter in support of it as a U.S. Senator. We've got Senator Durbin, who's the second most powerful senator in Washington, and you've got a delegation that supports it. If we are going to go to climate change, and I hope we don't, but if we do, we have to have plants like Future Gen. That is the only way that we can have somewhat affordable electricity costs in a carbon-constrained world. So, but that's a long way off. I mean, be able to have a state-of-the-art power plant that captures and sequesters carbon, you're still looking at 10 years down the road. So the Democrat majority better be very, very careful moving a climate change bill when you don't have the technology to deal with the massive amounts of carbon that is emitted today, and the inability to capture and sequester it right now.
You mentioned the fact that it may be 10 years down the road. Is that the most frustrating part about your gig? Because I've talked with Deanna DeMugio many times about this, but you can release something saying that a mine or something is going to be in Hillsborough, but there's so much red tape, and you get this, well, I'll believe it when I see it, and then 10 years down the road, it emerges. Is that kind of like that wait and see aspect?
It's very frustrating, and I mean, I think all of the elected officials want a to do due diligence and have a structured process for permitting. But you just don't want to give everybody a green light to do whatever they want. However, you do not want the process to be so long that people walk away from credible projects. There's a balance there, and the balance has really shifted to delaying construction, delaying the building of manufacturing facilities or power plants and stuff. And we need to find that middle ground where there's due diligence to really address the environmental impacts, but that's not used to stop a credible project.
All right, Congressman, it's always a pleasure having you in. As we come to a close, what other projects should our listeners be on the lookout for?
Well, we are, we left passing a budget that's going to have to be conference that is bigger than anything I voted on in my 13 years. The other two big issues that the public ought to be paying attention of is this whole debate on climate change, because it'll cost us all more. In essence, it is going to charge us for the use of carbon fuels, and that's what we use. And that's what's helped make this country great, because it's low-cost power, either coal or crude oil. The other thing is be careful and watch closely the movement on something to help cover the uninsured Americans with some health insurance policy. If I get my way, we move that debate into private insurance products. If it gets moved into a public insurance product, that is the back door between, I think, a one-payer national health care system, which will ration care. I don't think the public's ready to allow a bureaucrat to decide the type of care that we receive. That should be between us and our doctor and our pastor, our priest.
All right, Congressman, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks, Tobin.